Greetings, dear viewer, and welcome to the first in our 24-issue Halloween Spectacular. As usual, today's video will feature 3 segments. 1 featuring a haunting locale. 1 discussing a delicious occult factoid, and yet another diving into the case of a curious cryptid. Of course, I personally hope you stick around long enough to enjoy all 3 glorious segments. But for now, how's about you sit back and enjoy the delicious, gripping investigation into one of America's most notorious prisons. ESP. ESP. No, not LSP. ESP. The Eastern State Penitentiary in Pennsylvania. My glorious home state. Charles Dickens once called the prison the worst prison ever. Al Capone claimed it was haunted, and Quakers claimed it was the perfect prison for rehabilitation. All the more reason not to fuck with Quakers, I suppose. They may seem nice and all friendly and notoriously anti-slavery, but deep down, hidden within the recesses of the soul, nestled between their love for Quaker oat bran and incredibly fashionable ascots, lies an insidious darkness. The prison was built in 1829 and had a distinct starburst design that would go on to influence the design of prisons for years to come. A revolution of secure design, you might say. But what wasn't revolutionary was the Pennsylvania system model, or as I like to call it, solitary confinement, more like solitary refinement, am I right? So, here's how it goes. You show up to this spooky, gothic horror-looking prison, looking forward to spending your days in lockup, chilling with Black Mask, Mad Hatter, Calendar Man, and all the other Batman villains that don't get the appreciation that they deserve. You go through processing, have a cloth hood put over your dumb face, and proceed to be taken to your cell and driven totally insane. To start, you became a number the day you donned the hood. You're not Bane, you're this guy. Or maybe this guy? Who knows? You reach your cell, the door is too small, so you kinda gotta walk like Gollum to get in. Kneeling in penitence. The cell is small, totally isolated with a tiny skylight representing the watching eye of God. Boy, you hope he's watching now. You need to remain quiet. No singing, no talking, no humming, nothing. Break this rule and you get placed in an iron tongue vice to ensure silence. Hopefully, they wash it first. Mental breakdowns and eventual madness were guaranteed, and violence coupled with abuse from the guards was also guaranteed. But don't worry. The rooms have luxuries and amenities. You could maybe write, and you could get a whole 30 minutes a day to get that prison bod you always wanted. That's right, a whole 30 minutes of exercise. The only good thing about the Pennsylvania system, or as I put it in my script just now, the Pennsylvania system, is that it didn't employ forced labor. It held to the general idea that prisons were for rehabilitation, an uncommon ideology, even today. And that PA generally doesn't do things this awful way anymore, generally. So, if you ever enroll in a tour of this spooky place, what ghosts can you expect? Well, first off, probably no Quakers. Not here. But you can expect some pretty serious felons of any gender or race. Maybe some nasty prison guards? Maybe some weird modern art exhibitors? Wait, those aren't ghosts, are they? Anyway, the moral of this story is prison reform. What is it? Why do we need more of it? And why, in God's good name, did we stop?
I'm sorry. I kind of it's been a long time since I've done this. It's been a whole ass Halloween ago. So, anathema is traditionally a knife with a black handle, and usually it's double-edged, which, is perfect for, stabbing the hearts of your enemies, to use it as a sacrificial blade. To use them as sacrifice to your god.
She looked right into my eyes when I said that, by the way. Like it was my god in specific that it's being sacrificed to. I feel so attacked.
You can be my god, baby. Ugh. I would sacrifice my enemies to you.
I'm good. You sacrificed some donuts my way?
So traditionally, an athame is a knife with a black handle that's used as a ceremonial blade in rituals. Most are double-edged blades, which, you know, like I said, they're perfect for stabbing into the hearts of your enemies and then sacrificing your enemies to your god. Yeah. I'm kidding. You really probably don't want to do that with an athame. Most of the ones I've seen are fairly flimsy. They are ceremonial blades, so they're not really up to snuff. At least most wouldn't be. Now, for your modern witch, Wiccan, whomever, doesn't really have to be a traditional athame. It could be any old knife. Fuck, use your kitchen knife. You have like 1 billion of those. It's fine. Athames and ceremonial knives, you know, they can be traced back as far as you can trace back most of the pagan forms of religions that modern witchcraft and modern Wiccanism trace their roots from. The athame is traditionally linked to the element of fire, also linked to masculinity, but that's not necessarily true for everyone. The other big common metaphorical use for the athame is with the element of air. It just depends on who you learn from and who you worship. But traditionally, fire. Fire. Can we put flames in the background and I'm doing the Elmo meme? Yeah. No, I'm sorry. I feel a little goofy.
It's not identifying your face, but it is identifying Europe's face again and again.
That's great.
That's why I keep laughing, just in case I thought you were really funny. It's just like, I'm walking at the screen and it's just like, beep, beep, skeleton detected.
I don't have a skeleton, obviously. Where was I? Looking at my thing. Yes, that's where I am. The athame, as most modern users use it, that's a terrible way to phrase it. Why did I write it like that? The athame and its modern uses trace back to the late 19th and early 20th centuries by a group known as the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, who I will talk about a lot during this series since they've influenced just about everything to do with modern occultism and witchcraft and Wiccanism. They're all linked. It's a little frustrating, actually, because I think I'm going to get to talk about something different, and no, I get to talk about the Golden Dawn. But moving on from the Golden Dawn for a moment. Well, not really. The Golden Dawn mostly used athames in banishing rituals and not for many other reasons. Mostly just for banishing, which is truly just like, I mean, there's so many cool things you could do with a knife. You can wave it around and use it to banish ghosts. That's like the most boring thing you can do with a knife. Especially like one of the wicked cool looking athames. Walter, throw up some pictures of athames here. I compiled a list, don't worry. In addition to banishing rituals, athames can also be used to draw boundaries of magic circles, which is great because you just stand in one spot, hold the athame, and turn around. For people like me who can't actually draw a perfect circle, it's implied. No need to worry. But in addition to drawing those magic circles, You could do things like chop herbs during a ritual. Like I said, just use your kitchen knife, people. You can cut cloth. I know a lot of knot witches will use it to sever knots during curses when they're binding curses. So, you know, people have somehow managed to come up with cooler things than just waving around, "Begone, ghost! Begone!" Sorry, the more I read about the Golden Dawn, the more I'm like, this is the most bullshit way of doing things I've ever seen in my life. In conclusion, Athames. Good for use in a metaphorical sense? Yes. Good for cutting things like cloth and herbs? Yes. Good for making human sacrifices out of your enemies? Probably not. Again, I wouldn't attempt it, folks. They're pretty flimsy most of the time. And that has been Athames. I just dropped my mouse. The back and everything.
Have you ever seen a big bird? A truly massive unit of a bird. Not even the biggest you've seen compared to this bird of legend, unless you've seen it. It's the thunderbird. This legendary bird is found predominantly in North America and comes largely from the North American indigenous people's history and culture. The history of this majestic bird dates beyond modern history. Early examples of it dating back to early cave paintings that we've found and had to unearth. And the lore of the indigenous people with this creature goes back beyond possibly even these cave paintings. And I will not go into it myself as I am not an indigenous person, but they are very deeply ingrained with this creature. And I'll at least give 3 main stories I've gathered. The first one is from the Algonquin people, and it's that the Thunderbird controls the upper world, while the underworld is controlled by the Great Horned Serpent, which is another beast that appears throughout Native American mythos. The Thunderbird creates not just thunder, but also lightning bolts that cast down the creatures of the underworld. Another one is the Ojibwe. I believe I am pronouncing that right. Ojibwe people, and their recount of the creature is that the Thunderbirds were created by Nanaboza. I am not most likely pronouncing that wrong, but I'm doing my best. And it was created for the purpose of fighting underwater spirits. They were also there to punish humans who broke moral rules. And the last one that I've found largely is from the Menominee people, who give tales of a great mountain that floats in the western sky, to which is home of the Thunderbirds. And they, from their mountain perch, control the rain and the hail. They also delight in fighting and other deeds to show greatness. And one of these creatures has possibly even been photographed from, I believe it was the mid-1950s, or maybe a little bit before that. There is much more deep mythos to this legendary Thunderbird that goes way beyond my head, and as a white person, I do not have the right to relay that much mythos to you in this form. But find your local tribe and ask them about it. They'll surely have something to do with it.
Well, 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 dear viewers, I guess it's true what they say. Sometimes, when it rains, it's because of a bird. I do hope, dear viewer, that you enjoyed today's celebration of Halloween delights, and that you will indeed join us for the morrow's festivities. A most wonderful video, to be sure, and one where we will explore more than one definition of the term consumption. I hope to see you then. And in the meantime, check out our Patreon and swingeth past ye old Twitter, as the Puritans once said back in the old days.